Hello and welcome back to Hoopsa for another championship match preview ahead of QPR versus Plymouth Argyle this Saturday. In part one of this video, I'm joined by Ben from Argyle Life's Green and White podcast, and in the second part, I'll be giving my thoughts on the Rs. Make sure you hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and if you would like to support the channel further, you can become a channel member for £1.99 a month via the link in the description below, receiving a lovely Hoopsa badge next to your name in the comments. Thank you so much for your support, and let's jump straight into the interview with Ben. Hi Ben, how are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Thank you so much for jumping on today to talk about Plymouth Argyle ahead of our fixture on Saturday. It's been a mixed start for Argyle. Obviously, the 4-0 away loss at Wednesday last weekend. Then you had the 3-0 home win against Cheltenham in the League Cup, and then a 1-1 draw with Hull City. So, talk me through those results so far and how you're feeling about the season.
Um, the loss at Wednesday was dubbed by many to be the worst performance they'd seen in 20 years or more. Um, and my memory's not good enough to state that with any accuracy, but everyone could see how bad it was. And the biggest worry, I think, for fans, certainly for me, was that the flow of play just went unabated for 90 minutes. There seemed to be no attempt to, even just sit on the loss and shut up shop as the adage goes. So that was worrying that there was no sort of tactical or systemic adjustment during the game. And that kind of fed a lot of the narratives, obviously, about Rooney and his limitations as a manager, and quite rightly so. He those were accusations leveled at him at Birmingham. Cheltenham, the first 45 minutes wasn't good. The first 40 minutes, the last 5 minutes of the first half, and then the second half clicked into gear, especially when bringing on the likes of Morgan Whittaker, Ibrahim Sissoko, the firepower to put away what is effectively a team that's two divisions below, and you'd expect to be beaten sort of 3-0. To be honest, I don't even really know if their team was at full strength or not. To be honest, what they were trying to get out of the game. So I don't think there's too much stock to be taken from that. The game against Hull was orders of magnitude better than the Wednesday game, purely because you could see what the team was sent out to do. Obviously, they've been work on the training ground. What really thought he'd told the players he wanted out of them against Wednesday, he had got over to them by this Saturday, and that seemed to be effective to a degree. We still didn't produce a great amount. We threatened to, but it all often broke down, or it was a rushed final shot, or the last pass wasn't there. But we were probably the better team on the day. Could have perhaps won it if we'd been more clinical. That said, Hull had a few sort of chances we gave them. It's basically two teams, I think, in transition whose players maybe aren't best suited to the manager they've got at the moment. I think Volta's lost a lot of his best players, and obviously has brought in a very what he calls heart attack style of football. Rooney's obviously dealing with a squad that he's trying to mould in his image, still bringing in players to try and fill the holes and fill the roles, more importantly, because we've got a lot of square pegs and round holes at Argyle too. So there's a lot of two teams that weren't particularly great defending, weren't particularly great attacking. But we'll take a point. Could have won it, and it might be by the end of the season that's 2 points dropped that might prove crucial. But for now, it's certainly a step in the right direction. It just we'll have to see, I suppose, if it's going to be a false dawn or if that's the start of something good.
Yeah, and obviously you touched on Rooney there. He was a surprising appointment to all, not just Plymouth fans. And that came with its fair share of criticism. The opening loss didn't help. So what did you think when Rooney was announced, and how are you feeling a few games in?
Um, I actually wrote a 3,000 word piece on this just before the season opened up. There was a lot of So if any other club had appointed Wayne Rooney, our fan base would be ribbing them relentlessly, just as everyone else is us. It's a matter of par for the course. There has been a lot of attempts to sort of construct a narrative that he's actually not as bad as you make out, and I would like to suggest he is, or at least his record has been thus far. So the chairman, the owner, came out with a statement to sort of support why they had appointed Rooney to sort of fend off fan outrage, for want of a better word. And some of the things he said in that were a little bit misleading, like, you know, Birmingham had some bad results under Rooney, and then they didn't exactly become world beaters. They were still bad after Rooney. So, can we really blame Rooney? And I was like, well, if you look at under Rooney, that if you extrapolate that over a season, they'd have got 31 points and like minus 49 goal difference. And after Rooney, if you extrapolate that over a season, they'd have got something like 51 points and minus 7 goal difference. So yes, okay, they didn't become world beaters, but that's an absolutely tangible improvement after he's gone. And obviously you can compare it to Eustace before too. Also, this kind of idea that the chairman sort of said he was compelled to play a style of football at Birmingham, but even after he left Birmingham, in the interview he did with Gary Neville, what's that called? Stick to Football. Did an episode after he'd been fired by Birmingham and said, it was all I wasn't completely in agreement with the board. This is the way we wanted to play, and his only regret was that he hadn't had a chance to bring in players in the January window. So he was forced to. He chose to play that style of football. So there's been kind of a trying, I think, even from the top, but also among the fan base to sort of ameliorate the problem and say, oh no, it could go all right. But frankly, he has now got something that he's claimed he's not had thus far, which is stability and support. And you can argue that to varying degrees. I think he has had it in parts during his career, but now he's got everything he could want, I think, to crack on. And he might well prove me and many others wrong. Um, time will tell, but I still think it was a bad appointment, based on the wrong reasoning. Bad decision can come good. You can put your life savings on black at the roulette table, and your chances are you're going to lose that more than you win it. But if it comes in, then it doesn't exonerate it as a good decision, does it? So I think fans are more hopeful than faithful, if that makes sense. We'll get behind him until it's becomes obvious that it's failed, or until it proves a success and he's vindicated. But he's got a lot of support. That kind of people wanting you to fail or looking down on you is an attitude that actually Argyle, our fan base, is sort of quite familiar with. We embrace that a lot. We're often seen as a smaller club among the sort of the championship level clubs. Even though we've got a relatively big fan base, etc., we've never had the success of first division, Premier League football, all of that. So we've got kind of a chip on our shoulder in that sense. So we'll get behind a manager who's been put in the same position. But like I say, it's more hope than faith, really, that it will come good.
I mean, you touched on the fact that, Rooney had regret that he didn't get a transfer window at Birmingham. He obviously has had a transfer window to begin him at Plymouth this time. So what have you made of your transfers this summer? Obviously, Cooper is a big loss, having just departed last week. Are you expecting much more movement before the end of the month?
Well, we definitely obviously need another keeper in, even if it's not the first or second or third choice that we're apparently linked with. We're apparently linked with some of the better keepers in League One currently. There was some rumblings of being linked with a keeper from the Portuguese first, the Primeira Division, or probably butchered that pronunciation. Um, but if none of those come through, we at least need a body through the door and play Connor Hazard, who's currently playing number one. Keep him as number one. So we need a keeper, but I think the intention will be to bring in a ball playing keeper, someone who can pass out from the back, even maybe to the detriment of his handling abilities, because Rooney has declared previously that goalkeeper is the most important position in his mind for how you can set your team up to play. So we're definitely looking for that kind of keeper. Um, so I imagine some of the Cooper money, if not all of the Cooper money, to be reinvested. 2 million isn't necessarily going to get some of the targets we've been linked with, like Sam Tickle, who's just been given a new contract, etc. But we have been told there's still money in the kitty at the recent fans forum for transfer. So it might be that we have to um, overspend what we receive for Cooper to get that in. Our biggest needs really, I mean, we could do with another central defender, but our biggest needs really are central midfield, where Rooney likes to play a 4-2-3-1. We could really do someone to sit in the two, either to oust our current options, or at least to rotate with them. Adam Forshaw's relatively capable in there, but his legs aren't what they used to be. He's got the brains and he's got the skill, but he just hasn't got the athleticism, I think, to play in a two when the pitch is stretched. Well, he's got a lot of territory to cover to Marshall in that role in the two. Adam Randall, one of our graduates from our our youth academy, doing really well in there. But our only other options really are Jordan Houghton, who's excellent passer of the ball, great brain, but again, not got the physicality maybe that was exposed last season. And Darko JB, who we brought in on loan from Leeds again, who last season was better further forward. So we could definitely do with a midfielder and a 10 or a second striker. Rooney likes to play with the sort of second striker slash sort of attacking midfielder hybrid role. And we don't really have anyone who fits that bill. We're currently using Mustafa Bundu there, who's doing okay, but he's really a winger slash running off the back line striker. He's not really one to be picking up the ball, turning in tight spaces, picking the pass quickly. That's just not his skill set. He's much more sort of physical, clinical, running off people. So we could those two positions desperately need filling. If they don't get filled before the end of the window, we look like we're in trouble. If we can get at least one decent player in both of those positions, brilliant. Rooney said we've been in talks with 3 players, including the goalkeeper. So it looks like, my desire for another central defender for cover is probably not going to come true. One hopes that the other 2 in that 3 are, a DM and a number 10. And if we can get good options there, that would be good. I mean, we were linked with Jaden Dans from Liverpool. How serious that was, I don't know. But he's had a back injury for a while, and probably won't be out on loan until January at the earliest. So he'd have been absolutely brilliant in that second striker role. But as the other people we brought in, Ibrahim Sissoko on loan from Toulouse looks like a good player. They didn't give us any option to buy. They're keen to see him develop. Fantastic dribbler of the ball, needs to improve his end product, but has done so far. Got an assist in the cup game, got a goal on against Hull on Saturday, just gone. Um, Mohamed Tijani's big striker up front, really, really big unit on loan from Slavia Praha. Not overly impressed with his, for being such a big unit to keep hold of the ball. I'd still prefer to see Ryan Hardy starting up front, but he certainly is another body, and he may yet come good. He's obviously adjusting to a new league, new team, etc., etc. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, a few other bodies around the place in fullback positions. We spent 400 grand on a Cornell Susha, a right-sided centre back slash right back, right-sided defender. He looks very classy. He played in the cup game, but again, it's a League Two opposition. But he looked like he was playing within himself, and he could be really important this season. But I think really it's the old guard who've impressed more than Ibi Sissoko of the new signings of the standout. Otherwise, I think fans of ours fans will recognise most of our squad from last season.
Yeah, and of course, both of our matches last season were draws, the 0-0 at Loftus Road and then 1-1 at your place in that sort of final tense run-in for both sides. So to finish this off, let's get your score prediction for Saturday. Obviously, as I say, both were pretty closely contested last year.
I think I always go with my heart with these. So for once, I'm going to go with my head and say 2-1 QPR. I feel like there'll be chances. I feel like we will create, but we're still too open at the back. I don't think we've quite clicked the way the system's supposed to work defensively yet, and also I don't think we have the personnel to patrol the middle of the field the way that Rooney would or the system requires. So I think you've got enough to, as you showed against Sheffield United, you've got enough to take advantage of those spaces when they appear. So I think we might do something. We might bloody your nose, but I think you'll win it. I think you'll nick it 2-1.
Well, you're the first opposition preview of the season to actually go for a QPR win, so I'll happily take that. Ben, thank you very much for joining today, and good luck for Saturday, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Thanks.
Thank you so much again to Ben for joining, and make sure you check out Argyle Life's Green and White podcast via the link in the video description below. It sounds in some senses like Argyle aren't in a totally dissimilar position to the R's, still working things out on the pitch, where to play certain players and how Rooney wants to set them up. You'd like to think that QPR's second half performance against Sheffield United will have helped a few of ours turn the corner in terms of confidence. The backline was tighter, Field stepped it up after some baffling appearances in the 3 games so far, Smith looked dangerous against a tired defence as we know he can be. Koki and Karamoko were both excellent, and Dykes bagged his first goal of the season. All of these factors combined should lift these players up a notch for Plymouth, and like I said in my match reaction video, Marty will have learnt a lot more about his side from that 2-2 draw and comeback after that first half disaster than if we'd won it 3-0. The other positive, of course, is that Cifuentes and Calm will now, after 3 matches in quick succession, have had a week on the training ground to work through some of these teething problems, particularly in defence, to figure out how to tighten us up a bit. Because I think if we do that with our new attacking threats, we don't have to spend so much time fighting to get back into games, and we hopefully won't let our foot off of the gas so much if we go 1-up like we did against West Brom and Cambridge. I imagine for Saturday we'll see a couple of shuffles in the starting lineup. We've not heard anything about Anderson, but he looked pretty injured coming off in that first half, so I'll be surprised if he's in the squad at all. That probably means with Chair still absent that Dembele remains in the middle, Smith comes back into the starting lineup on the right with Saito on the left, though there may be some temptation to use Santos there given that Smith can be that second half weapon when you bring him on against a tired defence. Sellers started the first league game up top, Frey the second, and then Dykes of course bagged coming on as a sub, but I reckon he'll stick with Mickey up front after his hustle over the past 2 games. The biggest concern for me remains the centre of midfield. As I said, Sam looked much more like himself in that second half against Sheffield United, but Varane did struggle with the physicality and pace of play. The only way to really get him up to speed in this division though is by playing him though and being patient, and with Colback off on his self-enforced holiday, we don't really have another choice there other than Elijah Dixon-Bonner. So all that's left now is my match prediction. Both of our fixtures against Argyle last season were draws, and you have to go back to 2010 for our last win against them, 2 meetings before that, which was our only win in the past 14 appearances. But I personally think it's all going to come together after that second half revival in Sheffield, and I think our attack is going to come really good in this one. So I'm going 3-1 QPR with Saito, Smith and Frey the scorers. Do let me know your own thoughts and match predictions in the comments below. And as I said at the beginning, if you've enjoyed this match preview and you're not already a subscriber, please do hit the subscribe button. It helps me reach more and more people, grow the channel and improve what I'm doing. Thank you so much again, and I'll catch you in the next video. Come on, you Rs.